Vice President Harris and former Republican President Donald Trump should engage with Diaspora American voters who are almost evenly divided between the two major political parties. Many analysts believe the 2024 election could see diaspora communities playing a crucial role and potentially determining the outcome. Viewers Paul Ndiho spoke with Yetunde Odugbesan-Omede, a global affairs and politics professor at the State University of New York-Farmingdale State College, about the diaspora vote.
America would not be America without the migration of thousands, millions of people who came and built this country to where it is today. Both parties really need to break down the categories of the voting blocks. It's not just we're looking at middle class. We're not looking at just working class. Within these classes, there are various voting blocks that they have to be strategic enough to actually make sure that they are galvanizing that vote. It would be to their disadvantage, right? Both sides, if they don't look at the power of the diaspora, whether background you come from, whether it's the African diaspora, right, whether it's the Caribbean diaspora, whether it's Asian diaspora, these are major voting blocks that should not be ignored. They are beneficial to the United States. They have added their own quota, right? They have, contributed to the progression of the country. And I think when it comes to Vice President Harris, she should definitely not make that mistake. And of course, President Trump, they're all looking at voting blocks. They're looking at the working class, the blue collar, they're speaking to all of these social economic groups, not understanding and categorizing African Americans as a blanket categorization when there are various different ethnic backgrounds within that voting block. And they need to make sure that they have people on their team, on their campaign team, who are from these voting blocks that can speak to their needs, that are studying their trends, that are seeing their voting trends over the years, and be able to provide these candidates with the information they need. So when they do go on the campaign trail, they're not making blanket statements, they're making more targeted statements. And I think that's what we need to see moving forward.
But you've probably seen some of these analysts who have argued that it's very hard to reach the diaspora because of its diversity. That we are very diverse, in a sense that we cut across almost all continents, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you target a group like that?
It may be very hard to reach the diaspora, but I really don't buy that, because at the same time, if you're in the political landscape and you are running for campaign and you are running for one of the highest offices in the land, it is your really responsibility to ensure that you are doing the critical and necessary, field work and research on who are my constituents, who are the people that I need to make sure to get on my team. So if you are seeing that there have been organizations or that have been popping up, right? So Nigerian Americans for Harris, or whether they're Nigerian Americans for Trump, whatever it may be, it would be to the disadvantage of that political candidate to not study those things and to not study these grassroots organizations that are coming up in support of their campaign.
What makes the diaspora a critical mass?
Because one, they're the bridge. So many people who are in the diaspora have very strong bonds to the countries that they left, right? And they're living here in the United States. And for far too long, many of the elected officials on the campaign trail didn't quite understand those nuances, didn't understand the power of the diaspora vote and what the role the diasporans play, and that relationship they have with the United States and their respective homes and their respective countries where they came from. And so that's why it's very critical that there are people on their team, on their campaign team, who are aware of these nuances, who understand the background, who understand specific countries that may be focal points for each candidate, so that when they are on the campaign trail, they can speak to it.
That was Dr. Yetunde Odugbesan-Omede, a professor of global affairs and politics at the State University of New York-Farmingdale State College, speaking to VOA's Paul Ndiho.